So, Dave, you know how we like to start the show with a cold open. We just start right into a story. I've got a cold open that's actually cold, but before I go too far into that, if you heard a third voice in the forthcoming moments, that's our special guest, Erika Moen. Erika, I'm going to give you a formal introduction to the show in a few moments, but in the meantime, feel free to tell me just how brilliant you think I am.
So brilliant. So brilliant.
What a great way to start the show.
I have the little magnet of you with your five C's of making comics, and it's on my refrigerator. So I see you every day when I do my dishes.
Oh, that makes me feel very happy. I've got them like in 5 different places on my fridge. So you see it when you're at the fridge, you see it when you open the fridge, and then you see it when you close the fridge.
Nice.
And I wish I was kidding. So listen, Dave, here's my cold open that's truly cold. Are you two like me? Do you like the peppermint ice cream that shows up in your grocer's freezer section only during the winter holidays?
I love a mint. I don't love a peppermint, which, like, from a consumer standpoint, there's a differentiated taste between peppermint, which I don't understand, and mint. Peppermint has a little bit more of a cold, crisp sharpness to it. Yes. And I like a mint. I love a mint ice cream. Mint chip. Oh my God, I could eat that all day long.
Oh, like mint chocolate chip.
Yeah. Oh, mint chocolate. Yeah. Mint cookies and cream is honestly one of the best ice creams going. I could eat that all day long.
Well, I'm talking about the peppermint ice cream, and it only comes out during Christmas. That's peppermint. And our family loves it. And as you know, we recently got a ice cream maker. Yes. And I've been experimenting. I'm going to give you Brad Geiger's peppermint ice cream recipe. I'm going to just give you the high points. I'm going to have the actual recipe in the show notes because I don't want to go into the whole thing. But this, by the way, not from a book. This is from my own workshopping of several batches of peppermint ice cream. And here's what I want you to do. First, you want to go out and get a package of those Starlight peppermint candies. You know, the hard candy. It's like
these
a
little
round disc.
Yeah.
It's got a red swirl. Get a package of those. And then while you're in the candy section, I want you to get a package of those peppermint puff candies. They're like the little spheres, and they're also white, and they've got a swirl, except you can bite into them. They're puffed.
Yeah.
They're a little more marshmallowy,
disintegrate
right?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, take those hard Starlight mints, put them into a Ziploc freezer bag, take a hammer out, and crush them out, right? But you don't want to granulate them. You just want them into small pieces. And by the way, if you got small kids, I don't know whether this is a candy for you, because I don't know that those are going to be choking hazards, but this is for grown-ups who like their ice cream. So you're going to mash that up into smaller pieces. Then in a separate bag, take a bunch of those puffs, those peppermint puffs, and you're going to granulate them. You're going to just whack the hell out of them. Bam, 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 until they're granulated like sugar. And that's the secret. You know how most ice cream recipes have whole milk and a heavy cream and sugar? Like 2/3 of a cup of sugar, forget about the sugar. This is what you're going to use for the sugar. This granulated peppermint puff candy. Bang, 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 bang. 2/3 of a cup. You're going to use that in place of the sugar. And you're also going to use about a tablespoon of peppermint extract. Again, not mint extract. There is a difference.
Wow. There's a lot of mint going on here. Okay, keep going.
This will stand you up in your chair. Then, of course, then
you're gonna want to take a hedgehog, dip them in mint, and then dip it into your ice cream mix.
You're gonna make it like you usually make your ice cream, and then hold those hard candies that you pounded with a hammer. Save them until the last minute of mixing in your mixer, and then add them at the very end so they get distributed. Freeze it overnight. I'm telling you, this is the most peppermint ice cream you could imagine. It's amazing.
You know what's great about this is that it speaks to the age that we live in, that like you're like, okay, and then you want this kind of granulated candy, then you want to mash this kind of candy. At no point in this discussion did the word mint leaf come out of your mouth at all. Like, God forbid you throw something natural in here. Like, no, don't let it, don't burn that at the stake. I don't want to see a mint leaf anywhere near this. What I want you to pour 17 more pounds of granulated sugar into this. That's what I want.
Right.
Oh my God.
This and by the way, if you're doing gingerbread this time of year on a nice slice of warm gingerbread, this is just the thing. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it.
No, listen, I do love a mint ice cream. I will try that. I'm going to go look at the show notes and see what this recipe is. That is it, because that is a dang delight. I am so happy you were using your ice cream machine. And on that note, I'm going to say hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Comic Lab, the show about making comics
and making a living from comics. I'm Brad Geiger, the editor of webcomics.com and the creator of Evil Inc.
And I'm his pal, Dave Kellett, cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon and co-director of Stripped.
And this week's Hour of Comics Advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So Dave, let's talk about our guest, Erika Moen.
Let's talk about our guest, Erika Moen.
Erika, we're so thrilled to have you on the show today. Those of you who are, I can't imagine anyone's unfamiliar with Erika, but for that one person that just came out of a coma, let's talk about what Erika's been doing in comics since the very, very beginning. Well, we won't go all the way back to the beginning, but for the purposes of today, you did a comic called Oh Joy Sex Toy, started in 2013, still going strong.
Yeah.
Sex education and review comic, relevant. By the way, if you've ever seen it, it's so nice. It's got a wide variety of genders, body types, and sexualities. It really is an inclusive, amazing look at sexual education. Also, the very popular Drawn to Sex series of sex education books, including Our Bodies and Health and The Basics. And this is one you got to be looking for right now, this time of year, coming out from Random House Graphics. Let's talk about it.
Random
House Graphics.
Random Horse?
Did I say horse?
I think that came out as Random Horse. Random Horse, which is now listen, as far as horse publishing goes, when you want a horse to publish your book, you're going to want a random horse to do it. Not a horse you're going to want to find a random horse.
A random horse. It's called Let's Talk About It, the Teen's Guide to Sex, Relationships, and Being a Human. Go to your favorite place to buy books. I like buying them at my local independent bookstore and find a copy. And I'll tell you, just as a personal endorsement, by the way, Erika, you notice we haven't let you talk once. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm loving it.
That's the Comic Lab seal of quality, is never letting a guest talk.
But I got it. Before you think you're going to say anything, I got to tell you, we've bought Erika's books, and I'm going to tell you, just as a parent, I want to let you know that do the Brad Geiger thing. We bought them. And we had kind of we let our boys know, this sex is something you can talk about. It's not a forbidden subject. We laid the groundwork. Then we just bought Erika's book and just left it on a bookshelf. They find it because they're teen boys. Anything with those three letters, SEX, they zero right in it. They found it. They read it. They had questions they brought up to us. But you don't want your parent handing you a book saying, well, if you've got any questions about this, you let me know. No, we just let them find it. We just let them discover it. And then they knew that they could come to us for questions. I got to tell you, as a personal endorsement, Erika, I cannot endorse that book any more strongly. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. So, Erika, tell us a little bit about what you are doing these days. How are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on with you?
Oh, golly. So actually, interestingly enough, I'm taking a step back from Ojoy Sex Toy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Ojoy is still continuing because it is a really good resource. And I can say that because now I'm the one taking a step back. So not tooting my own horn. Yeah. We are continuing on by having a rotating cast of artists do comics that cover a wide range of subjects. Like we've got people who are just doing horny stories. And then we've got people who are doing like sex education and sex toy reviews. So it's a wide variety of voices and different experiences and body types and sexualities talking about a lot of different things.
And you, the two of you do a really good job too of both curating and welcoming in very different styles, very different voices. What's great too is that from an editorial standpoint, you do a really good job of letting people establish within a couple of panels a unique voice, which is hard to do, to jump in as a sort of guest spot role. So kudos to both of you for your ability to do that. That's great.
Oh, and I would love to take credit for that, but that is all Matt. He does all the editing.
Let me tell you a little bit of advice. He's not on the mic right now. Take that credit. Take that credit. Take that credit.
That's right.
I work very hard at it.
But on a broader note, both Brad and I, having stepped away or considered stepping away from projects, applaud you for the ability to say, no, what I need right now is I need to step away from this project to work on this, or to take a break, and that's because so often it's the go of creativity, and it's important to acknowledge when you need, for a billion reasons that we could all talk about, to step away from a thing. And so good for you for being able to do that right now.
Thank you. And I'm very, very fortunate that I have a partner who can pick up my slack, who can cover that difference, so that I have the freedom to take a step back and pursue some other projects. Like, speaking, that's a good segue. So what I'm working on now is doing a graphic novel memoir about going through the intensive outpatient program, which I talked to you guys about the last time I was on here.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear. I actually had not heard that you were working on that. That's great. And so do you have a length in mind? I mean, I'm sure you have a sort of stages you want to go through in terms of processing, but is it like 100, 200, 300 pages in your mind's eye?
It's definitely going to hit 100, no problemo. I hope it's not a 300-page book. So somewhere between
somewhere in the middle there. Yeah, that's a totally healthy length of book. 100 to 300. That's a lot of work. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. So tell me a bit about the process of working on that. How did that get started for you? Where you decided, I want to translate this into a work of art. How was that process?
Well, okay, so back it up to 2019 when I was going through, and I prefer to call intensive outpatient program, I prefer to call that space camp, because it is shorter and more fun to say. Yeah. So yes. 2019, I was going through space camp, and I, as part of my coping mechanism, but then also just part of this is how I live my life anyway, I was taking really detailed notes about everything that was going on, and not just about they're teaching us how to breathe on a count of 4 to help regulate your panic. I was just also okay, so this one person came in the room and they said this thing, and I had a conversation with this person, and this is what I had for lunch. I noted what I had for lunch every day and what outfit I wore each day, which is I'm an autobio cartoonist first and foremost, but even that kind of level of detail is a whole extra level that I don't live every day. But for this purpose of going through space camp, I was like, this is a completely unique, absolutely different experience that I've ever had in my life. And it was also a time when I was very vulnerable and scared, and at a really being able to document my day was something I could be in charge of and have control over.
Right.
So I had these intense notes about space camp, and I knew as I was taking my notes, I was like, this would make a good comic someday, because that's how I think. But then the last couple of years, it's okay, well, I want to do that comic, but I'm not ready yet. I don't know. The thing that I was most hung up on was, how do I set up the situation so that the reader has context for why I'm going to space camp. Yeah. And that part is really scary for me. And I don't know, I talking about that stuff publicly, the specifics of why I was going, again, makes me vulnerable. And it could also open me up to further internet pushback. So I was like, I don't know how to start this story. And then I realized I don't have to start the story. I can just start transcribing my notes.
Yeah.
And I will figure out the intro later. And maybe it's not even necessary for the book to know the specifics of why I was there. It's just, hey guys, we're going to space camp together. Buckle up. And,
any number of people are going to have any number of reasons to go to space camp. But once they're there, that's when this story really takes place. And I got to tell you, I love the fact that you are going from taking us really for a long time now, 2013, you've been helping us talk about a subject that some of us have a lot of difficulty talking about, which is sex, right? For a long time, you've been helping us talk about a sensitive subject with a lot of class and a lot of just a lot of
and humor,
and also a lot of fun, but. You've been helping us with one sensitive topic, and now you're going to go right into another topic that a lot of people are very sensitive about, very shy about talking about openly, and you're going to help us talk about that too. I got to tell you, thank you on behalf of a lot of people who are going to read that book. Thank you.
And
thank you.
As far as not having the beginning, what's interesting too is that there is a whole genre of literature that doesn't give you the background or the beginning of a story. All of fairy tales basically drop you into life is shit. This moment is terrible. Now, how are you going to figure out how to get away from the witch? There's a monster. We're not going to explain how it got here. It's been haunting the village. Now, how are you going to deal with it? All of fairy tales don't give you the start. They drop you right in and say, how are you going to get these kids out of this terrible house with this witch, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a whole genre of literature that you don't have to give the beginning, and you can just drop in medias res and say like, all right, let's do it. Let's go from here. That kind of thing.
Thank you so much for pointing that out, because that had not occurred to me.
Well, because I was thinking that like I sense, because both Brad and I have had this problem too, is that beginnings are hard. Beginnings are really hard. Yeah. And sometimes the best beginning is to throw them right in and say like, you're going to figure this out within 10, 15, 20 pages, what's going on. So let's just start and we'll get into the story as we go. But anyway, I will echo what Brad's saying, and good on you for putting that into story form, because that will help the world. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And it's my pleasure and my catharsis.
Yeah.
And so what I've been doing is I'm going through my notes like day by day, and I'm just doing these really rough stick figure comics. And I've been posting those as little chapter chunks on my Patreon. It's been a nice little contained, I get to share it, but it's not on the internet exactly.
Right.
And it feels good. It feels really, really good to work on it. And also something that I wasn't anticipating was that going back and reading my notes, I see myself sharing these concerns and asking questions that I have the answers to now. Yeah. And it like that is so gratifying to go back in time and little 2019-year-old Erika is saying, I feel like I'm always going to be trapped in this place. I feel like I'm always going to be lost here. I don't think I can ever get out of this. And then 2021 Erika is like, oh baby, like you're going to get some tools. Like it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's going to be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's always going to be hard. It's always going to be work, but it's not hopeless. And at that time, I had no hope. And I don't know. I feel a lot of tenderness and love for little baby Erika, who. Yeah, I did not feel that love and tenderness for myself at the time.
Right. Well, I know we have a whole show of not suitable for work advice that we're going to give, but I want to ask two quick questions starting a project. One, style-wise, can you talk for just a brief second about how are you differentiating from Ojo Sex Toy in terms of that line art with a limited palette, or are you going in a very different direction, and how did you decide? I'm sort of curious, because that's always a fun thing, is how does an artist differentiate the new project from the past one, or don't?
Okay. So I unintentionally, right now I'm just doing it as stick figures, because I just want to get the words down. I just want to get the pacing and the action down, and I'll figure out the drawing later. But the more I'm doing it as stick figures, it's like, this really works for the story. Having this super, super simplified, the way everybody basically is a stick figure. They look identical. And then the way you tell that I'm me is I gave myself these little foofy bangs. And it's all monotone, so there's no color on it. And I don't know, I'm kind of thinking like I might do it as more refined stick figures, so they're not sketchy, but like have a nice line quality on them. But yeah, so first I'm just gonna do all my stick figure pages and see what my page count even is, and then I'm gonna go back, and that's when I'll figure out how I want to draw this. But right now I'm kind of leaning towards this might be a European stick figure comic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That actually makes sense. So the idea of an elevated stick figure. Yeah.
I like stick figure.
You once or twice in Ojoy, you've had that where you did stick figures doing like either background or like something more illustrative that like to get a lot of information out quickly. And it worked really well. So that's exciting. That's a good idea.
Well, David, as much as I know you'd love to stall, and frankly, I'd love to talk about this topic even more.
I wanted to hear about Erika. I'm not stalling.
Nice try.
We promised that we would do an entire show, since we've got Erika here with us, that was dedicated to not safe for work topics of people who maybe want to try a not safe for work comics, or just somebody who enjoys NSFW and would like to learn more about it. So, having said that, I do need to say right at the top that today's podcast will discuss sexual topics and themes. It's not intended for children, and listener discretion is advised, Dave. And just as long as I'm advising, me. As long as I'm advising, I gotta advise. If
you guys need me to mute, just let me know and I'll turn this off.
I've got to advise Erika too. Listen, Erika, I as I'm sure you know, David is a little bit shy about these topics. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are listening at home, we've got the Dave Kellett embarrassment scale. All right. Yeah. It goes from 1 to 10. So those of you who are scoring at home, you can find out just how embarrassed Dave is. 1 being just a little bit embarrassed, and 10 being cardiac arrest caused by acute mortification.
And just for everyone tracking at home, we're already at a 2, just so you know. We're already
well, yeah, we were at a 1, but when I said scoring at home, we got to a 2.
Yes, I got to tell you. So before we start the show, my people come from a small village in Ireland called Waterville in County Kerry. Small village, like it's you and nobody else. And the only thing we had to keep ourselves company as a people was our guilt and our shame. It's important to us. We hold it tight to keep us warm. So it's a heritage of my people to keep that guilt and shame right there. So okay, now let's jump into the show.
Of all the things to hold. Yeah. So Erika, you're going to want to be careful about it. Just the word use. Dave is not even very comfortable with sex adjacent words like jiggle or turgid. Don't those?
Oh, well, hold on. I myself am not comfortable with the word turgid. So
turgid is an uncomfortable word. That is that's not what you want.
Even uvula. That's too close. That's that thing that dangles in the back of your throat.
My cheeks are a little flushed. There's no argument. Yep.
we're coming very close to a 3. So I'm gonna. And by the way, we've got a whole raft of really good questions that I want to get through.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And the first one I want to do, because we actually got a couple of these, I'm going to read one of them, but we've got a few, and they have a theme that you'll see very quickly. My comic is a gay romantic comedy and has been running for quite some time. A majority of gay comics I see lean heavily on sexual content and imagery, from beefcake drawings to full-on sex scenes. I have always been uncomfortable writing and drawing these things myself, and have rarely done so. I feel this has held me back somewhat. I know Erika and Brad have experience in this area and wonder if you have any tips on getting more comfortable with creating explicitly sexual content. And that's the theme. We've had a couple people that say, I'd like to do this. I'm just not comfortable with it. How do you get more comfortable with that topic?
Okay, so there is obviously there's the actual question, the literal question that this person is asking. And I will get to that.
Yeah.
I want to start out by saying sex is not required. Your comic doesn't have to be sexy or have sexual content. If your comic is all about gay relationships and about people interacting with each other and the romance, if that is serving the story, you're good. You're doing it just right. So you know how in a musical, every musical number should propel the story forwards and should serve a purpose to the story. And if you were to take that musical number out, the story would be missing a step.
Right.
Sex is like that too. Sex scenes are like that too, ideally.
Right.
So
you've just ruined The Little Mermaid for me. Now I can't watch it again. Now, no, actually, I actually have never thought of it this way, and that's a really good point about it to exist just to exist actually doesn't add value to as a storytelling device, but when it propels the story, when it adds something, that's really a key thing. Yeah, that's a great point. Keep going on that.
Yeah, well, and also like there are like Oh Joy, the comics that we run are very short. They're like 4 to 5 pages long. If you were to print them out and put them in a book on the web, they're just one long scroll. But when we run a lot of like horny stories, and that the whole purpose of the story is to show sex. So where was I going with that? Like there is a place to just tell a sex story.
Yeah.
That's totally appropriate. And like the stories that we run, we try to have a bit of a narrative going on through it to kind of have a reason for the sex to happen. But the whole purpose of telling a horny story is just to show sex so that people can enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
But your story, if you are propelling the characters forward, if they are doing their adventures and it feels natural and right, like you're doing it. Success.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'll just add to that by saying, and I'm glad you and I kind of agree. Tell me what you think. This is what I first thought when I heard this, Erika. Tell me what you think. If you're not comfortable doing it, you should not be doing it. You should not be doing something that you're not comfortable doing. This is one thing if you're comfortable about it, but if you're not comfortable, listen to yourself.
Well, I can't believe I'm the one that's about to say this, but let's say that they want to do it, but it's legitimately tricky for them to get there. But in terms of a personal growth thing or an artistic growth or wanting to advance to, the next level of drawing a thing, how does one break through the I don't deserve to draw this, or I'm not the right artist to draw this, or I don't feel comfortable drawing this? How does one break through that?
Yeah, good question.
Well, I've got a thought.
Go for it.
This is one of the few times, and in general, Eric and I are the similar in this regard too, in that we feel it's somewhat important to put your name on your work. I never had a pen name. I always wanted my name to be part of that. If I'm going to do it, and that also was something that I'm like, that also is going to keep me from keep me honest in what I'm putting out, because it's going to have my name on it. I'm going to have to stand by that. This is one of the few times that I'm wondering out loud, would this be a good opportunity to create a pen name so that you have a certain degree of anonymity so you can experiment with that a little bit?
Yeah.
Going back to Oh Joy, we have a good number of cartoonists who use a pen name just for our site, and then like they're well-known cartoonists in other I don't want to say more legitimate, but more mainstream.
right.
And they wanted to have a chance to like do a horny story, but if somebody Googles their name, they didn't want that to pop up in the Google results because like they're doing YA stuff. So yeah, I big cosign on having a pen name, and also just for yourself, start small, start at home, draw just for yourself. If you have a sketchbook that you take with you everywhere and people flip through it, get just a loose sheet of paper that you can throw out and do some horny sketches on it. Just see how that feels. I keep it private. Just get used to your hand drawing that fun stuff and see where it takes you.
Yeah. And that would be a good way to kind of build up and see where your comfort level is.
And would you both recommend sharing it with a limited number of people, or is actually that harder because those people are probably within your social circle, within your familial circle? Like, would that actually be harder? Like, in a way, it's easier to share publicly, anonymously, than it is privately with you and all your personality attached to it. You know what I mean by that? Yeah. Like it's harder. It's harder within a group of, 100 people that you know in your world than it is to share with 1,000 people that you've never met and will never meet. So how do you, I do like the idea of a pen name for this, but here is my question for both of you. Let's just say theoretically, I were to do that, wouldn't my style be the giveaway of the, like, how does one, Erika, with guests that you've had on that I guess do YA, which understandably they have to be careful. Do they markedly jump away from their style when they do it? They don't? Now I'm going through the archive. I'm 1,000% going through the archive.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that has a nickname like this, like Sparkles McFlare Pants, I'm like, that's a pen name. I'm going to figure out.
That's a pen name. That's a great, I'm stealing that one. Sparkles McFlare Pants? Holy cats.
It's McGee. That is a contributing artist to both Ojoy and to Smut Peddler.
Wonderful.
I'm going to figure out what YA author that is. I'm 1,000% going through.
Well,
wouldn't it be funny though that among cartoonists we're like, I know who that is. I know exactly who that is.
I've gotten other cartoonists that come up and they're like, hey, so this cartoonist, that's so-and-so, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and to be fair, I do not confirm or deny.
Right.
But if you know, you know.
But it was Bill Watterson. We can say it. I mean, we can say that it was
now
Bill.
it's safe to say. Yeah.
I think it's not speaking out of school to say that.
Well, we've got another question from our Patreon backers, and this one's I like this one a lot. I want to see what you've got to say about this, Erika. ComicLab has said, quote, good writing saves bad art, unquote. But does that apply to not safe for work?
Oh.
Or are people so interested in the sexy stuff that they don't care much about the humor, story, character as they would for a safe for work? In other words, can not safe for work be stronger in art and weaker in story and still succeed?
I think it can, yes, but it also depends on the purpose that the sex is trying to if you're telling a story where you want people to be aroused while they read it, then yeah, you want attractive, appealing art, and that is subjective. If you're telling a story where sex happens and it is part of the story and it's not necessarily there to titillate, then yeah, having rougher art, having unappealing drawings could actually suit it. I mean, who is it? Phoebe Glockner? The cartoonist who does all these comics about like childhood sexual trauma. Oh wait, she's an incredible artist though. That's a terrible example. Well, I'm just saying like she's an incredible artist and she's drawing sex in a way that is extremely upsetting to look at. And so yeah, it really depends on the purpose that the sex is supposed to serve. And you know what? You know how you get better at drawing sex is you draw it. So you tell your story is supposed to be sexy and you do your art and it doesn't look that great. And you say, okay. And you go on to the next comic and you do a better job. So I don't know, draw the sex you want to see in the world.
Draw the sex you want to see in the world. That made me laugh.
Well, I have to agree. I think I will say this much. The art in not safe for work comics generally is much more important than it would be in another comic. In other words, especially if you're drawing something that you want to have that sexual energy, if you wanted to have it that appeal, you've got to really be able to draw well. And that's something I see time and time again. You'll see people saying, well, of course, it's easy to make money doing not safe for work. You know, you just draw, naked people and it's like, I can show you a whole list of people who are trying to do that, who are not there on their artistic journey yet. They're going to get there one day. They're not there yet. And they're not making easy money because they're not there yet.
Well, let me ask you both a question as someone who doesn't draw this. My intuitive sense of this is that for me, the trickiest parts in certain emotive scenes are hands and eyes, because in a reductive art like comics are, the smallest twitch of a finger or curve of an eye or angle of a hand can have like a vastly different meaning. And sometimes I can draw a whole scene, but then the damn hand, I'm like, on 15th version of it. I would imagine that to do it well, the angles, the smallest details can totally throw off, or what might work, 1 inch to the left works terrible if it's 1 inch to the right. Like, how did I talk a bit about that? How like the detailing is important when you get to a certain stage of drawing?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let me rephrase that. You and I work very differently. You work with so talk about how you set up a shot. I know you use a lot of like photographs. You photograph yourself in poses and stuff. Talk about that.
Yeah, I use photo reference pretty heavily, and it helps me understand how a body fits together, and especially when a body is fitting together with another body. And then what I'm doing is not tracing, because tracing is where you put your pen down and you follow every single edge. And what you're going to get is a pretty wonky looking picture from that way. And what I'm doing is I'm using those photo references as a map that I translate into my own drawings that I'm drawing. Like I'm still constructing the figure on my own. And like I use my husband and myself as photo reference all the time. Oh, that sounds dirtier than it is. I mean, just like for normal pictures. Anyway,
never leave your phone at a convention. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, do not look at my phone. But I'll use our photo reference as the basis, and then I draw completely different body types over our skeletons, basically. Yeah. And what I was just going for was to get the body position.
It's almost like an artist overlaid on an engineering drawing. You know what I mean? Like you just want to get the superstructure, and then the artistry gets laid over that. You know?
Yeah.
Well, in that regard, I do very much the same thing. In other words, I'm using Clip Studio Paint, and they've got those 3D models that you can pose. And I've been using those an awful lot for the exact same reason. And by the way, you don't have to do a sex scene to prove this to yourself. Draw two people dancing, right?
Yeah.
Slow dancing. You'll find out very quickly just how difficult that is. And I really upped my game, but it's the same thing. If you studiously trace that outline, you're going to get the most awkward of awkward. That can only be a beginning for your illustration, not necessarily an end. But to come back to that original question, the art is much more important than it is for a regular comic. However, that is not to say that the writing is any less important. In other words, that scene still has to be significant. It still has to mean something. And you'll find out very quickly if you try this for yourself, just how repetitive and boring a sex scene can get. Yeah. Because once you get past the mechanics, there's very little left after the mechanics, right?
Well, isn't that why you would say that the most important sexual organ is the human mind?
That is 100% true.
That's right.
Did I just blow your mind? Sorry. No, but I think it's true, because that's why sometimes even a stick figure drawing of a titillating scene can work if the writing, if the emotion, if the character buildup is there, where like it's stick figures. It is the most reductive way you could show human action, and it still kind of works because the story got you there, you know?
And I'm very, very proud. We're back to a 1, and that was after Dave said titillating. And I want to just say that I'm proud of you, and you are walking the walk, my friend.
The reason why I'm able to get through a word like titillating is I keep looking at the word Titian in the side, and I think, like, you know what? Established, famous author.
Are you talking about Titian?
No, you got to say it Titian. That's the funnier way to say it. Or I'm just looking at Lake Titicaca in South America. That's all. It's the only way I can get through this show, is I've just got to tell myself, like, look, these words happen in nature.
By the way, I left a copy of Erika's book last time I visited Los Angeles in your studio. Have you found it yet?
I've gotten closer to it. I've stepped up near it, and then I'm like, oh god. And then, no, that's what, to get to the point though. One of the reasons why I think the story is still important is because you can, with a well-written character, with a well-written arc, get even stick figures to an emotional place that means something to a reader. You know, no matter what kind of story you're telling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess also the way that you frame and lay out a sex page comic is still the same way that you would frame and lay out an action page, a conversation page. You're not just drawing sex. You are choosing, like, what do you want the emotional impact of each frame to be? What do you want the focus to be? I mean, like, if you're going to draw a conversation between two people, you could just draw two heads talking in every single panel from the exact same angle each time. And like, maybe that would work for the story, you know, in that case, but in most cases, that's going to be kind of boring, and the reader's going to skim over it. And the same is true of sex. Like, what camera angle are you picking?
Yes.
What, like, how big do you make one panel versus how small do you make the other panel? What will make the reader's eye go in the right direction? What will build the tension of the scene, whether you have a far away shot or a close up shot? So storytelling, it's absolutely storytelling.
Yes.
Everything you know about storytelling for comics completely applies.
Well, and
to
if I can praise you for a second, one of the things that I like most about your work, especially on Ojoy, is the way that you take your layout, and the layout is a storytelling technique that you use to masterful effect on that, where there is a flow, there are pauses, there are moments of great emphasis. Like your layouts, and for anyone that hasn't gone, I really recommend it. Erika's layouts on Ojoy are wonderful and really help tell. But it's that same kind of thing, though. It's the same storytelling that if you were doing, Spider-Man going through Midtown New York, it's that kind of the sense of on-offs in terms of energy, highs, lows, storytelling flow. It's really effective. So anyway, that's just a side note, praise for you on that.
Yeah, go on.
Hey, if you're listening while you work, take a minute to stand and stretch.
And while you're doing that, we're going to tell you why you should join us on Patreon.
When you do, you're going to get hours and hours of podcasts that we've recorded just for backers.
And exclusive Patreon posts that go even deeper on ComicLab topics.
And access to our exclusive Discord server, which is a thriving community of professional cartoonists.
So you can support the show you love and get tons of actionable resources for your own cartooning.
And listen, if you can't swing a pledge this month, we get it. No worries.
Yeah, listen, you can still support the show by rating us wherever you get your podcasts.
Just leave a 5-star review and a few kind words.
That, along with mentions on social media, is incredibly helpful.
Now, everybody, let's talk comics.
Well, Brad, before we go on, we got to thank and give a shout out to our sponsors for this week, the good folks at Wacom at wacom.com, the makers of the Wacom One. And Brad and I both own a Cintiq Pro and a Wacom One in our studios and use them every day. And Bradley J., what would you say? How is the journey going with you with the crows outside? Is winter approached? Has it made it so that the crows?
Well, you know how we started the show with a cold open that was actually cold? Well, I've got a mid-show open that was equally cold. I was talking about, even though it was a little bit chillier out, I wanted to go out with my Wacom One on the back deck and draw back there. And my son goes, that's actually a good idea. You could draw on the back deck. And I said, well, why do you think that's such a good idea? He says, well, you're trying to attract the crows. And I said, oh, yeah, you mean about the shiny surface of the Wacom One? He says, no, I was just thinking you yourself from up above. You've got a shiny surface. It's called your head.
Oh, unnecessary shot. Oh, Brad.
So
wow.
I've had two cold opens.
Brad, here's how you come back at that. Be like, hey, let me just tell you, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'll talk to you again in about 40 years. We're going to see how you're feeling about this.
But one thing I know I'm going to be feeling the same about 40 years, 40 minutes, 40 days is of the usefulness of that powerful, professional, portable Wacom One.
Amen. So we give a shout out and a thank you to the folks at Wacom at wacom.com. And Bradley, what's the next question we got coming in for our special NSFW? Well, that's hard to say, by the way. NSFW. It doesn't flow off the tongue, does it?
I had an intern that called it NSFW, and I thought, I'd like to make that work, but I can't see myself saying NSFW. It just doesn't fit right.
By the way, do either of you know how that got started? Is that just early days of the internet that we like because people could only read the internet at work, and so?
Oh yeah. I assume it was just like it's like I got on the internet in the mid to late 90s, and it's just NSFW.
It already existed. Yep. It's just an awkward acronym that can mean
really
well, it can both be oddly specific and oddly broad. You're like, well, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Well, especially for people like Brad and me, like our work is dirty stuff. So
but I guess what I'm saying is yours can be, for lack of a better phrase, wholesome, good NSFW. Whereas there's also like, hey, this whole town had an earthquake, and that's NSFW. You know what I mean? Like if the visuals are not good to see, like this earthquake result, like that's also classified as NF. It's weird that society has
it's a little bit of a catch-all.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a little bit of catch-all. Anyway, what is our next question, Brad?
I got to tell you, Dave, I'm so proud of you because you have not gotten above a 3 on the Dave Kellett embarrassment scale. And I just want to take a moment to point out you're doing really, really good. So
thank you. Well, I gotta say, you're both being very
you.
kind. Like you're both are kind of hand holding me through life. Like you're going to be okay, champ. It's a roller coaster, but you know what? Once you get past that first big hill, you're going to do great. I'm like, all right, thanks, Mom and Dad. You guys are great.
Doing great. Now, our next question is, Erika, how do you draw a female orgasm?
I'm out.
We're at a 5. I'm seeing a 5.
I'm out. I'm immediately out. All right, I'm going to mute my microphone and just kind of breathe heavily off to the side here. And you guys can keep going.
Or Dave's still trying to figure out how to cause one. But ladies and gentlemen. That was a joke. I'm sorry. I could not resist. Here's the actual question. Males seem to be easy, but the female orgasm seems to be largely considered taboo or something, and that rarely gets depicted as anything more than verbal. I'm curious what the preferred way to depict it is. So, Erika, talk about what are your thoughts on that, drawing the female orgasm?
Okay, well, okay. So for a person with a penis, it's really easy to show an ejaculation. And everybody understands that, when a penis ejaculates, that means an orgasm has most likely happened. Some form of physical contraction, probably relating to a sexual experience, has occurred. Mm-hmm. For a person with a vulva/vagina, it is more difficult to show because those reproductive organs are on the inside, and it's kind of hard to show an inside action to take, it's hard to draw muscle contractions inside of a body and be like, there, that was it. That was the orgasm. It's hard.
Well, it's kind of like the most impossible version of what I was talking about in terms of the hand, the diminution or the minutia of hand movement. Like the even worse one, it's like interior minuscule muscle contractions that no human eye could determine from more than 3 feet away, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, because the vagina is this muscular tube inside of you, and think of a throat, and it'd be like, okay, show your throat contracting. It's like, how does that work? Right. Okay. Now there's the more visually gratifying type of orgasm you can draw, which would be squirting. And some people with a vagina can squirt fluid. And so that's a nice little, you can show that. That's easy. But most people, when they come, you can't really see. So yeah, the question was, why don't they show? How do you draw it?
I mean, would the focus be on facial expressions then? Wouldn't that be? I'm trying to, as someone who doesn't draw this, I have no idea, but I would imagine facial, or you do that 1930s film cutaway technique where it's train entering a tunnel kind of thing. But you could show birds and flowers in the sky. I mean, you could cut away. I'm not joking. I'm only half joking. You could cut away to something, the kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yes, that is absolutely that's a legit suggestion. You can do kind of like a 3D X-ray view inside the body and draw, more cartoony, wavy lines happening inside the body.
I see. Yeah,
I remember one of the guest comics that we ran, or no, maybe it was just in Smut Peddler. I forget. It's an artist that we've worked with. But they did this porn scene that happens at a dance club, and these two people start having sex on the dance floor, standing upright. And then right at the moment of climax, the view cuts to one of those soap bubble machines that foam.
Oh
foam
yeah,
down.
Yeah,
and it just cuts to a big foam machine going boom, and it works perfectly.
Now, in manga or hentai, there's a word for that face, right? Ahiago is that close?
I love that of all the Japanese you can speak, that's the word you know. God forbid you learn how to say hello or have a nice day in Japanese. Brad's like, well, I do happen to know one word, sir.
I became very, very familiar with that very quickly. But also,
it gets really awkward when Brad's trying to ask how to catch the train to Kyoto. It does not work.
but I've made some very lasting friendships.
Oh God, that got me. I never did get to Kyoto anyway.
But I mean, there are side. So what I try to do, and what my colorist Alex Heberling is very good at doing, is also facial flushes, and also like a flush across the upper chest. That tends to happen as well. And so you can kind of show that. There's the use of sound effects, a lot of you can work to a crescendo.
Would that be like a clown horn, Brad? Like a like kind of thing?
Well, and also body language, because when somebody is having an orgasm, like muscles tense up, people can arch their backs, and faces squinch up for the most part, or people exclaim. So how would you draw somebody in pain? It's not going to be that much different from drawing somebody having these muscular contractions of pleasure.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that we've talked on the past shows about how both Kirby, and there was somebody else that actually did a chart about terms of like a character throwing a punch. You don't want to draw it midway. You either want to show it at fully retracted back or fully extended forward to show maximum kineticism. So both of you, could you talk about that in terms of either potential energy or highest kinetic energy in a moment of drawing an NSFW scene? Yeah. Also, why am I asking questions? I should just be in shame, and I don't. I'm both proud and horrified by myself. So keep going.
The question, I feel like, pretty much has the answer in it. Like you go for the most extreme position that somebody would be having in their orgasm, or if they're getting ready to orgasm, like maybe they're all scrunched up and they're really tight inside, and then when they come, you draw a body that's big and open and flexing outwards.
And how would you do it if it's a Victorian librarian from 1840? Would you just, with very still, board-like? Is that the way you do it?
Just like the corset just like bursts off.
They can no longer lay back and think of England. They have to. They're thinking of France at that point.
The suitor has the bow tie that's spinning around. I do have to say, Dave, I will say, if I find on Ojoy's sex toy some characters with big googly eyes with somebody with a pen name of Uncle Wiggly, I'm coming right to you,
Uncle Wiggly. That sounds like something that I would do if I did. Like they all have character names. Like oh my God, Uncle Wiggly's funny. But the reason why that's funny, Erika, is yesterday I was at 2 days ago I was at Barnes and Noble, and they had a board game called the Uncle Wiggly game, and I texted Brad a photo like, how is this not a game? This is not a game for children. What is this? Why would you call a game the Uncle Wiggly game? I am not okay with this.
Well, Dave, I've got another question that I want to go into, and it's about the legalities of not safe for work. And of course, every time on the show that we talk about legalities, we've got to take a pause and remind you that none of us are lawyers, and nothing that you hear in the forthcoming moments should be misconstrued as competent legal advice. But we will give you some opinions on what we think. But this is not legal advice in any way, shape, or form. With that being said, this question comes in. It says, I am approaching my first draft of a short story comic for digital and paper-bound publishing. May I legally include the text that is very detailed and graphic about a sex act? And may I legally include drawn images of those events also in a detailed sequence of events? So we're talking about the legalities of publishing not safe for work comics. Erika Moen, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know about the legality of it, but depending on what printer you get, they might just decline to print it after they have taken your money, and you've got 1 week before they said the books would arrive for your convention, and then you get an email a week ahead of time that says, by the way, the printer decided not to print it, even though your work doesn't actually violate any of our rules.
Oh no! It sounds like this happened to somebody that you know.
Right.
My very first book.
And Brad, didn't that happen to you, Brad, with one printer that you approached? Maybe I'm misremembering that.
Knock on wood, that has not happened to me.
Don't say knock on wood. That's not the phrase to use there, Brad. Brad, that's not the phrase to use there. Brad, now I'm at a 10. Come on.
No, So far, I've been very lucky, but I've been very upfront when I first approached the printer, and they can decline at that point. But I've been like, this is fully explicit. You got to know that going in, and I've been very lucky that way. But I'm not going to say that I haven't heard people talk about Erika's story either.
Right. Well, I wanted to add on to Erika's point, which is that depending on what country you're into, laws can vary greatly from territory to territory, region to region. And obscenity laws in certain countries that you'd be like, well, that's absurd. That doesn't exist. You cross a border and it 100% exists. So you just got to be conscious of the fact. And this is where the legwork comes in of learning what is and what is not permissible in your region, in your territory, in your district, or in your country. So, because that can vary a lot.
Well, so when I'm thinking about this for me, what I tend to do is I don't consider this a publishing question. This is a distribution question, right? Yeah. Publishing, as far as I'm concerned, my opinion is that you can publish it. Of course you can. Can you distribute it? That's really where the rubber meets the road. And that's where you need to take certain steps to protect yourself, including but not limited to making sure that the cover of your book says adults only, right? Making sure that you have a notation on that book that says that you don't expect this to be sold to anyone under 18, for example. If you're doing a Kickstarter, you need some text. And by the way, you can find, I've got like kind of a boilerplate legal kind of paragraph that I borrowed from a couple of adult websites and then kind of rewrote, used it as a template for my own, that says that you, like any good legal contract, this is what our expectations are for everybody. This is what I'm doing. You need to know this is what I'm doing and accept that you understand that. So like in a Kickstarter, anybody that's kickstarting at a not safe for work level, they get a notification that this is what is going on. So they know about it. When they get time to bring their books in and send me their address through BackerKit, they get they've even got to check off a little radio box that says, I understand that I am going to be getting not safe for work material and I'm okay with it, right? This isn't for me so much a publishing question, it's a distribution question. And when I address it in my own business, most of what I'm asking myself is, am I being clear about what's going on here? So there's no surprises, because that's the last thing you want is a surprise. And everybody knows what they're in for.
I have a side story about knowing what you're getting in for. So we had the first year that we had a fulfillment company do the Oh Joy books from our Kickstarter campaign. We filled out all the paperwork. We said the business name of our company is Erika Moen Comics and Illustration LLC, which is a whole other story. I wish I'd chosen a different name, but anyway. So filled that out on all the paperwork. So the company knows, okay, the company we're working with is Erika Moen Comics and Illustration LLC. And then we get this email from somebody who's like, they're pissed, but they're not yelling at us, but they're like, guys, I had my order sent to my boyfriend's work, and on the return label, it says, Oh Joy Sex Toy. And the company, rather than use our company name, this was not our fault. This was not our fault. But the company we were using was just Oh Joy Sex Toy, that's the name, and plonked it on the return label. So sorry about that.
It's because of the boyfriend's work. And that company sold doilies and haberdashery, and they're like, Roger, do you need to say anything about what you've ordered by mail?
For those of you keeping track at home, that boyfriend was at a 10 on the DK chart.
Oh, man.
But I will jump in to say that anytime we get a question like this, where someone's very concerned about the legal aspects of something, as three non-lawyers, I think I and both of them would say, I think I can speak for both of you to say that if it is a serious enough concern and specific concern, like can I do ABC? Can I do this version or that version? A consultation with a lawyer is a very payable expense that's worth doing, because again, we are not lawyers. and as though we can give you our best shot at advice. But if based on the fact that you said the word legal, I think 2 or 3 times in that question, it makes me a little concerned that there is something very specific you want to do. And is it legal though? I'm not sure, the specificity behind your question makes me think like you might want to talk to a lawyer about the specifics of your question.
And before you talk to the lawyer too, you can, wherever it is you're wanting to show your comic, whether it's in a print book, whether it's on Webtoons, like contact the printer, contact Webtoons, contact a book distributor and ask and say, what are your policies on this? Because, whether it's legal or not doesn't matter if they have a policy that says we will not, there's a reason why you don't see blood or fisting or face sitting in regular video porn, because it's this whole thing with the credit card companies where they do not allow those specific acts. So even though those acts are legal, they're fine, but porn websites can't host content that shows any of that, like menstrual blood, which is, it's not a violence blood. It's just it's a monthly blood. Can't show porn that shows any of that. Otherwise they will get their credit card people cutting them off and then they'll lose all their money. So it's, prohibited.
Right. Yeah. You sort of have 3 different considerations. You have a legal consideration, you have a business consideration, and then you have a moral consideration. So all 3 of those companies can have totally different moral considerations that are legal or illegal. It doesn't matter. We have morality clauses in our contracts, or we have business clauses in our contract, like the credit card thing that Erika, that's a really good point. So I should emphasize, and maybe we've never said this before, but even though you talk to a lawyer, they're giving you their best advice based on their experience, their education, their transiting through the courts. But it doesn't mean that you suddenly have an imprimatur that nothing bad can happen to you because I talked to a lawyer, So I just want to, because I've in the past, I've been like, go talk to a lawyer. And I'm fearful that somehow that gives the impression like, and then everything is solved. Right. What they're giving you is their best advice, basically a version of what we're doing right now, but best advice from a legal standpoint. But again, it doesn't, to Erika's point, that doesn't say that the economic considerations aren't going to come in with credit card companies. It doesn't say that morality clauses and contracts aren't going to come in. So it's separate from legal. There's still a whole variety of things that can go wrong.
Absolutely. And it's like that question, Dave, we had on the show last week or the week before where somebody says, can I be sued if I use a Disney character? The answer to that question is and always shall be maybe. And if anybody tells you it's any other thing than maybe, they're probably trying to sell you something. The question is always maybe, and really it isn't like Dave says, trying to get some kind of an ironclad, this person told me I could, so I can. It's more about making sure that you're navigating those waters to mitigate any problems before they turn up. All right. So along those lines, I've got another question for us here on the show, and it comes in and says, how would you recommend a creator build an audience if their comics content is mature enough that posting it on most sites would be against the terms of service? Something that we just got done talking about. Would they go all in on Twitter, which, by the way, has very, very loose, Twitter, you can put a lot of wide range of stuff on Twitter. Would they go in all on Twitter, or should they take a note from Brad and use that as a second bonus comic they can point their audience to from a more quote unquote appropriate title? So let's talk audience building. How do we build an audience for an adults only comic?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, can I ask Erika? Erika, would you also say that it's interesting to do a mature comic for mature people that are living in a mature world? That's one of my favorite Brad pronunciations is mature.
Mature.
Brad, how do you say the longer word that has I am in front of it when someone is the opposite of mature?
Immature. You're being immature.
You say immature? No, you don't.
Yes, of course. If it's mature, it's immature. You're being immature.
My God. Mature and immature.
Do you say that for reals? I thought you said that as an affectation.
That's how I was taught.
No, he was raised by some weird Victorian nanny, and some words come out of him, and I'm like, wait, mature is how you actually want to say that?
Mature.
He's definitely down on it, Erika. He's not
mature.
See, I thought it started I thought you mispronounced it once, and then Dave was like laughing, and you were like, "Oh, I'll just keep it going." So I thought it was
committed to the word mature. He's not changing it.
I've been saying that ever since I reached the age of maturity.
Oh,
Ah! It's like manure, but with the T. It's mature. Ah. Mature. Oh, yeah. I gotta go to Michigan because someday I'm gonna go to Michigan. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna literally walk into a restaurant and be like, excuse me, can you read this word out loud? And they're gonna say mature. And I'm gonna be like, I knew it. Brad is just making up pronunciations. No one says mature.
They'll just look at you and say, oh, it's that Geiger boy again.
Yeah. Oh, is that the boy that got kicked in the head by the mule at 5? Yeah, we remember him. He's in Philadelphia now, I think. Anyway, sorry. How do we build an audience for a mature comic for mature people living in a mature world? Erika, you want to jump in on that one first?
Well, it's gotten a lot more complicated because of the way that companies are cracking down on what kind of images are allowed to be shared. I mean, even just mentioning the word, like on Instagram, they say that sex education is okay, but they don't actually back that up. They pull all these like purely sex education. You can't say the word sex. That gets tagged. That gets taken down.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's a thing. Oh no, they said for their advertisement bit, you can advertise sex ed books, sex ed materials. So Matt and I took out an ad to advertise one of our original Oh Joy or maybe Drawn to Sex books. And Instagram was like, sorry, this violates our guidelines. And it's like, it literally doesn't.
And you had trouble from Amazon as well. I remember just recently. But I was very proud of you. You got Amazon to turn that around. I was thrilled to see that. I was
shocked. So backup story. Matt and I have an affiliate account with Amazon, which means whenever people make a purchase using our affiliate link, we get a cut of it. And we had our new book coming out, Let's Talk About It, from Random House Graphic. Or what did you say? From Random Horse Graphic.
Random Horse Graphic. Random Horse is for the mature readers. That's.
Anyway, and so we were like, hey, here's places to pre-order our book, trying to because the better pre-order numbers you have, the better it does for your book, And we had I think a couple hundred pre-sales through Amazon for our book coming out. And mind you, Amazon sells sex toys.
Right.
We have affiliate accounts to their sex toys from our website, so people can buy sex toys from Oh Joy Sex Toy on Amazon.com. It's fine. We've made thousands of dollars over the years from them, and them from us as well. And then they decided that one of our books, they didn't like one of the comics on the website. So they ended our affiliate account, said you're violating our guidelines because it was a sex comic. We weren't showing anything wrong, illegal. It was just purely sex is happening in this comic on ohjoysextoy.com and it links to your website to buy a sex toy.
Right.
So they ended our account and said, by the way, everything that you've sold before this, you have forfeited your profits.
Oh,
we will not be paying you. This is non-disputable. Do not contact us. It's over, which happens to people anybody who has sex work, sex content, and they have a relationship with Amazon. This is frequent. This wasn't just special for us. I'm shocked we lasted this long before we finally got the hammer.
Yeah.
So I went on Twitter and I was all self-righteous, well, they finally did it to us too. And I thought I was just going to bitch. And I was like, if you want to support us, here's other places to buy our books, back my Patreon. And I was just kind of using it as an opportunity to be hey, we lost one revenue source. If you want to support us, here's some other ones,
Yeah, make a positive out of a negative.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Well, that thread went viral.
Yeah.
And it got some articles written about it. And then somebody actually read an article, was friends with somebody who worked at Amazon in a higher up position.
Oh,
and they sent that article. Yeah, they sent one of those articles to that person. It was like, hey, this doesn't look right. And the person was like, oh yeah, that does look kind of shitty. And they reinstated our account.
Wow.
Wow.
I have never heard of another sex content site worker person having that happen. I am the only person I know that has happened to. And everybody else is just, they're shit out of luck because their threads didn't go viral enough.
Right.
So I don't know, I'm glad to have the account back, but it feels real shitty.
Yeah.
But that absolutely builds off the last question, not this one, but the last one, in terms of you can have something be legal, but then it triggers a morality clause or morality flag or whatever it might be, or it triggers some financial thing like with credit card companies. And that's absolutely happening more and more. I see in both of your careers with hosts, with credit card processors, with online commerce platforms. By that I mean like not necessarily them, but Shopify type things. Some of those are clamping down.
I have another example. Instagram. I've got the thing on my account where I've got enough followers that I can have a link in my stories, so people can just tap on a link and it'll take you to another place. My website. They have a thing now where Ojoy Sex Toy is marked as a dangerous website. So if somebody taps on my link, they get a warning saying, "Are you sure you want to go here? It's dangerous."
Wow.
And it doesn't do it for me. I can tap on my link and it takes me straight to my website. But anybody else who taps on the link, they get a warning.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. So let's build that off of that, because that directly impacts this current question, which is how do you build an audience online with all these conditions, with the idea that credit card companies can increasingly and are increasingly clamping down, hosts are increasingly clamping down, and it's harder to reach audiences via social media if they're clamping down. To both of you, I ask, how do you build an audience in those conditions?
Well, for me, I got to tell you, I really strongly endorse the idea of having a central comic that is public facing, that has parts that are private facing, right? Like I do with Evil Inc. and Evil Inc. After Dark. I try to build it so you can read Evil Inc. Completely without ever looking at the After Dark stuff. And the After Dark stuff is significant, but it's not going to take away necessarily from your understanding of the storyline. And by doing that, what I find for myself, about 70 to 75% of the people that come and join us on Patreon come through my website, not through Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or any of the other outreaches. They come directly through the website, where I'm doing a very large amount of outreach to make sure that people know about that. And then, like, if you see my stuff on Twitter, even though Twitter has the most relaxed guidelines, I think, of all of the major social media, everything on my Twitter is very tame. Like nothing, nothing beyond like cleavage, happens on my Twitter. But partially because I want to keep that scarcity, because that's kind of one of the economic factors that drives this. You want to see the full thing. But also, it's just kind of it's what my own personal comfort level is, sharing things in public. And like it happens every now and again, somebody will either do fan art or something that I might have been involved in, and they post it. Like my Patreon backers know right off the bat, don't post any of this on social media. It's not cool. But every now and again, somebody will post something and it'll have full nudity. And it's like, I want to engage this. Because like, let's say it's fan art. I want this to be something that I, encourage. It's so nice to get fan art. But I don't do that on my site. I just don't do that on my Twitter feed. So maybe I'll sneak it in late at night when nobody's looking. But that's really, having said that, that works really well for me, is having kind of a main branch of this that I have that not safe for work part that I can point to from that. Right. That's my suggestion.
But my thought with that is that I don't know how, using that technique, how would I build something like Ojoy Sex Toy using that technique? There's no good way to do that in Erika's world. So Erika, if you were starting today, how would you do what you do?
Okay, well, I would start with my own self-hosted website. Mind you, I'm not the website person, so I might use the wrong words.
That's okay.
First, get you a British husband who can make you a website.
I thought you were going to say, get the computer. That's the first step.
Yes.
First step, computer. Second step, husband who can make website for you. And then so that you are hosting your own comic, so that you're, Tumblr used to be super porn friendly, and then they got bought by a different company, and then porn was scrubbed.
Yeah. Right.
So you want to host it yourself. And then as far as promotion, unfortunately, you're still going to have to hit up social media. You're going to want to have censored images that obscure super naughty bits. And even then, even then, my posts on Instagram are censored. I do not show any dirty bits, and my posts are regularly taken down anyway.
even with censored,
oh yeah. And then like I'll see another website that's just doing like straight up porn drawings, and they're fine.
I know.
So it's luck of the draw. Anyway, but cover your own ass, cover the bitch.
Literally,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah. And hit up social media as much as you can. And there's also a silver lining to posting censored images on social media, and that is people. Originally, when we started Oh Joy, we were just straight up posting preview images that showed the good stuff because like, here's what you're in for. You signed up for my social media feed. Here's what you're going to, what else did you think I was going to post here?
Right.
But then we were getting people that were like, hey, you know, like I follow your account, but, I left it open at work, and then like this big dong showed up on my screen, and like that was you. And could you post censored images? Which there's an argument to be made about like, well, you can choose what accounts you want to follow, but you're going to be able to reach more people, and you're going to get more retweets if you have an image that is safe to retweet. Even if it says like, hey, click here, you're going to see sex stuff. As long as that image doesn't get somebody in trouble right off the bat, as long as somebody feels more confident about sharing that image on their own feed, you know, maybe they're fine seeing that image and that it's not going to get them in trouble at work. But if they want to share it, like, well, they're kind of embarrassed to have that on their feed, you know, but if it's a clean, quote unquote, clean image, then they'll be more likely to share it. But yeah, so just basically, it's the same strategy as promoting any other webcomic. You get your social media images, you get your social media texts, you make them unique, you make them self-contained so that people will be more likely to reshare them rather than, hey, in case you missed it, I updated. And you're like, hey guys, I updated. And then you make a second tweet for the same comic that's like, guys, you'll never believe it, I updated. Like you just always find a different way to say it. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, dude. It's just, there's no way around it. If you follow sex workers, if you follow adult content creators on Instagram, on Twitter, on Patreon even, it's like, it's rough out there. And the rules are so inconsistent. They're absolutely inconsistently enforced. So in answer to your question, good luck.
And you're not wrong. Well, listen, I've got one last one that I'd like to round out the show with, because this is an interesting one, and it's short and sweet. Hey, how do I get useful feedback on not safe for work comics? In other words, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but I wondered if there was any thoughts on how to get really good feedback, because that's a big ask, even if you've got a really good friend. Hey, come on over here and take a look at my smut comic. Let me know what you think of it. It's not something you can ask for most of your friends. So how do you, but yet you want to get better, you want to improve. How do you get good feedback?
Well, same as you get other good feedback in specific fields, is you collect a number of people whose opinion you trust and value, who have knowledge on the subject. Like if you're a sci-fi writer and you want to get better at writing sci-fi, are you going to reach out to your historical fiction? I mean, you could, but like you're going to look for other sci-fi writers. Right. So I, as much as I could, like reach out to and make friends with other people who are also making adult comics and who are starting out at the same level as you. So obviously you can reach out to people who are established and people who have the decades of experience, and you know, good luck with that. But for the most part, like those people are going to have locked down their boundaries a bit more, and like they'll already have their friends that they talk to about this stuff. And there's not always, you know, they're not always going to be super open to bringing new people in. So what you want to do is find other people who are kind of starting out around the same time as you, and people who are just beginning their comic like you. And those are the ones you want to make friends with and connect with. And you guys will form a support group and you'll help lift each other up. And this is true across webcomics. This isn't just like just for sex comics. This is just across the board. And the people that are in my peer group who are my friends now, like I made friends with them 20 years ago because we were all starting out in webcomics at the same time.
Yeah.
So do that, but with perverts, and
I
make your tickets scarce.
I like the way you have taken charge of the word perverts. I see you using that word an awful lot, and I just want to say that it delights me every time I see you use that on social media. I
love that word. I get in trouble for it. People are like, "That's a bad word," and it's like, it's a sweet, silly word.
It really is.
We're everybody is a pervert to somebody else. Pervert just means like you have a sexual desire that somebody else thinks is weird, and that's every single one of us.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, I like that. I like smut. I like taking those words and taking charge of them once again, taking ownership. And I just had to say that I see you doing it all the time, and I just love it. With that being said, Erika, I just want to reiterate how absolutely thrilled Dave and I both are to have you, to have somebody who really knows this stuff and can speak about it in a super, not only authoritative, but friendly, welcoming way. It's been an absolute joy to have you on this show.
Absolutely. I can't echo that enough. It is always so fun to have you on. You always speak with such eloquence about and with such heart about your work and about cartooning in general. And it's so great to have you on. Can I ask you both of you, one last question, a lasting question?
Yeah.
Because I, as someone who doesn't swim in these waters, as an outsider looking in, see credit card companies clamping down, see hosts clamping down. And I see from a purely logical business standpoint, the same decision-making that I see DC print comics slowly being shut down because Batman's worth a lot as a movie. It's worth pittance as a printed book. And so I see the business writing on the wall of where that's going with that company. But I also see the business writing on the wall with credit card companies who every time a charge comes through and then either a spouse or a family member or a pastor or something, somebody else becomes aware of that charge, it's immediately canceled as fraud. And then the credit card company is left holding the bag. And so they obviously are trying to cramp down on that. And the same thing is happening with hosts for different reasons and with social media companies. Do you guys, broadly speaking, are you optimistic, are you negative, or are you neutral about the future of NSFW comics online?
I am all over the place on it.
Okay.
Because sex drives technological innovation. Porn is why VHS tapes took off. Porn is why the internet took off.
Right.
People love sex. It's and people love to hate sex. Sex is just such a driving part of humanity. And there's gonna be a reach around, like humans.
Oh, thank God.
Humans are gonna find a way to get around this. Like something. Okay, yeah, maybe it's a dead end with credit cards, but something else is gonna come up. And mind you, I am no fan of crypto bullshit, but maybe that's where it's gonna go. If you want your adult content and you want to buy and pay for it, maybe that's where it is. Mind you, I'm not endorsing crypto. Please don't yell at me.
None of us are, but I've made that prediction in the past as well. And I'm not a fan of crypto either. But as you just got done saying, porn has always driven technology. And if the credit cards companies do a full clampdown, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. If they do that completely, then people are going to say, well, I still want it. There's the demand is undeniable. The demand is still there. So I'm going to sign up for a crypto account so I can pay for whatever it is that I want to get. But let's come back to that demand. That demand is always going to be there because it's a primal thing in the adult experience, in the human experience. And credit card companies make billions of dollars on adult transactions. Yes, I know that there are some problems with them. Yes, I know that they want to look as if they're moral upstanding companies. If that's not an oxymoron, I don't know what is. But yes, they want all of these things. But above all, they want the money. And they, at some point, if like, for example, even this MasterCard thing, if MasterCard were to say full stop, no more adult transactions, you know who would be jumping from the rooftop saying, hey, adult transactions. It would be Discover Card. Hey, remember us? We were cool in the 80s, remember?
Diners Club is making a huge comeback.
Trust me, somebody wants that money and doesn't care how they go about getting it. And again, if it isn't them, it will be crypto. And I'll say it for you, Erika. Neither one of us are big crypto fans, but it's undeniable. If credit cards shut the door completely, it doesn't make the demand go away.
No,
it doesn't make that demand go away. It just we're going to find another way, and it means that once again, as web cartoonists, particularly, we're going to have a rebirth, a rebranding, a rethinking of our business, and we'll meet you on the other side.
Well, and what if the 3 or 4, now I know I'm just doom and glooming it, but what if the 3 or 4 social media companies start to clamp down to more and more in terms of from a moral standpoint?
People are going to want to see that company, and all of a sudden, or that people are going to want to see that content, and then everybody's going to discover Pillow Fort, or everybody's going to discover whatever the other thing is. Like we said, this is a driving factor in technology. Anybody that wants to get rid of us, pay very close attention. What happened when Tumblr got rid of Not Safe for Work? Nobody goes to Tumblr anymore. They got sold. I don't remember the numbers, but they got sold for a tremendous amount of money. Today they're worth peanuts. You know why? Not Safe for Work ain't there driving their business model anymore, and that'll happen over and over and over again. Yeah, they can make it hard. Yeah, they can make it an annoyance. They're never going to make the demand go away. And for people like Erika, who are doing amazing work that people want to see, now you've got an undeniable combination, and that's always going to be there.
So is it safe to say that both of you see potential roadblocks, some of them pretty big potentially coming down the road, but that long term, you see it working out in the wash kind of thing? Or what's the phrase?
Yeah.
Not working out in the wash. Coming out in the wash?
Coming out in the wash? Washing out in the wash?
Washing out in the I don't know what that phrase is. I wish I was mature enough to know that phrase. Oh, man.
Well, no, I guess I'm optimistic. I get a little bit worried every now. I get that 2:00 in the morning, you wake up and you think, oh, my God, what if the Senate does this? What if they do this? What if they pass this law? What if they do this thing? I have those moments in the early morning hours like anybody else. But at the end of the day, I just come back to that demand. People, this demand does not go away. And as long as the demand doesn't go away, the business can't go away.
I actually have these, I know this is so ridiculous and this is not tenable or practical, but you know how there's zine fests and you physically go to a zine fest and there's people who are selling their hand stapled mini comics and you pay cash for it. And it's I keep having this half an image of that, but for porn comics and explicit material. And it's people who are going to a place to pay cash to each other to get this stuff and exchange it.
I'm curious about this now that you mentioned that. I've said on the show in the past, I won't go to a comic convention again because I don't think there's any point. I would go to an adult expo, like an adult entertainer expo or something like that. Is that something you've ever done or considered?
I did go to a single adult expo with Matt and a friend just to go check it out. And man, the vibe was weird.
Oh yeah.
Weird good or weird bad? Help me understand.
Weird, bad taste in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
A comic convention is so... And it's not just because it was about sex. It could have been about cars. It could have been about plants. But you go to a comic convention or a craft fair, and they really set it up to be accessible and friendly and well displayed and well lit. And this thing was just super sparse and everything was dark, and I think it smelled weird. That, or in my memory, I have made it smell weird. It's just but if we could have, there's a thing in Portland called Crafty Wonderland, and it's a little festival fair that happens on a weekend every 6 months or so, and people come in with their handmade ceramic mugs and their letterpress printed cards.
That sounds delightful, by the way.
It is super cute.
Side note, that sounds delightful. Yeah.
Well, and the displays they do, the first time I went in there, I was blown away because I've been doing comic conventions since I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And we all basically do the same setup. We've got our table, we put our books on them, but bam, you're done. And at this Crafty Wonderland fair, people like constructed these incredibly like intricate interactive displays for all their things. And like, it was a wonderland. It was a crafty wonderland.
It literally was.
And if the one adult convention I went to presented their shit like that, it'd be like, oh, it's a porno wonderland.
Well, I always wondered about exhibiting there because I the one year, I think it was a Wizard show, and I've told Dave this before, I was sitting directly across from some like Playboy centerfolds or something. And I had people that knew I was going to be at the show. They planned to come and see me. They walked past me 3 times. They never knew I was at the show because their head was always the other direction. And I always thought about, like, a part of me thinks that would be the perfect place to set up. And part of me realizes that nobody's going to be looking for me at one of those shows.
Counterpoint to that, though, walking around that one show that I went to, there was a sex ed booth, and there was like a leather booth. There were booths without boobs, and I still went up and I checked them out. Maybe that's just because of who I am and what my interests are. But like there was a variety of content to check out there. So I don't know. When Matt and I were still doing a lot of comic conventions and book conventions, we were definitely talking about we want to like AVN, the adult the adult porn wards. Yeah. Matt and I were talking about maybe we can go get a table and sell books there. But since then, I've taken a big step back from doing conventions because I'm tired and I'm burnt out.
Can I just say that it took me a hot minute when you said we went up to a leather booth. I was like, why would someone be selling jackets and gloves? And I was like, wait,
sweetie.
nope. Oh, it took me a hot minute to figure out what was. Boy. I legit was like imagining like a rack of like members only jackets. I was like, why would there be leather? Why would there be leather jackets? Anyway,
what is that, Dave? What is that called when you're at a party and you keep saying goodbye, but you don't want to leave?
Oh, well, there's the opposite, which is the Irish goodbye, which is you just bail. You're just like, you don't say goodbye to anybody.
But you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever been at one and we keep saying goodbye and and then we're like, well, let's talk about this.
It's a dang joy to have Erika here. That's why.
I've got it right here. I know I got to read it, but I don't want to get to the part where we actually turn the microphones off.
Well, then I will say it, Brad. Thank you, Erika, for coming. You are a dang delight. You are a joy-filled heart, and we are so happy to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. And just, I've told you guys so many times, I'm starting to get embarrassed about how much I say it, but this show means so much to me. And I listen to it every single week. And I get the extra bonus episode too. Totally worth the $5 a month on patreon.com. But yeah, your show means the world to me.
Wow. Thank you. That means the world to us. Thank you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. As you can see, right there, what I see every day when I walk into my studio, it's right underneath Miss Match's legs there. That was the drawing you made on my envelope when I ordered your book right there. It's the first thing I see every day when I walk in. I thought it was so sweet. And having said that, I will tell you now, even though I don't want to, that you've been listening to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
And your hosts have been my friend Brad Geiger, who hung the art that I drew for him over the trash can in his office, the editor of webcomics.com, and the creator of Evil Inc. at evil-comic.com.
And my good friend David Kellett, who has no fewer than 3 framed pieces in this studio, I'll have you know. The co-director of Stripped, the comics documentary, and the cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com, and Drive at drivecomic.com.
And the Comic Lab theme song is a song you can listen to when you think about the fact that Brad threw away a painting that I made for him one time. Took me 4 weeks. It's used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net. And this episode was edited by the wonderful Matt Woodard of Woodsong Productions over at www.woodsong.media.
I threw it away because I could still see the numbers through the paint. If you love ComicLab, you can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and you may hear your review featured on a future episode.
Well, I got to tell you can only see the numbers because it was really hard to find the color palette of the Octonauts. The Comic Lab is made possible by your support on patreon.com/ComicLab. So we'll go ahead and say that twice, patreon.com/ComicLab.
CrowCon?
I like that idea. I'm telling you, I've gotten more emails and social media DMs about crows over the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're into double digits now. I've never gotten this much response on anything.
I have to say this. Everybody keeps emailing me on the side saying, David, you're wrong. Crows are intelligent. Crows are really smart, David. Crows are amazing. And I keep saying, I know that. I know crows are smart. I was saying crows are not as smart as Brad Geiger. And no one wants to hear that part. I know that crows are smart. I get it. Crows, if they had opposable thumbs, we'd be in trouble. I get it. But what I'm saying is they're not. I hope they're not as smart as Brad Geiger, because then there's a whole world of problems. That's what I was trying to say. And people keep coming at me like, David, you are wrong in saying they're not smart. I was like, I know they're smart. I just know that they didn't go to college like Brad did. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe they know more about my transcript than you know.